moving on to the Cardinals and Vikings. Um, we'll show the ending of that game here in a minute because we've got a great clip queued up. But Kyler Murray balled out once again. He absolutely did. I mean, you look at his numbers, right? And he was 29 of 36 for 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had 31 rushing yards and a touchdown, but
29
2
of 36
interceptions.
only had 5 incompletions, though. And that's the biggest thing for me with MVP versus exciting play. Those 2 interceptions were drive killers and absolutely could have changed the outcome of the game, just like
They
his
should have.
interception last week.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, they should have changed the outcome of the game. And again, taking nothing away from how special Kyler is. He's fucking special, man. I mean, he's such an electric athlete, but we're seeing the same shit from him, and it's working out in their favor, but it's Kyler scrambling around, running backwards, even on that amazing throw that he made to Christian Kirk on that fourth down play where they had a zero blitz. He backpedaled 15 yards and just back foot chucked it.
RIP in peace, but that was a Kobe fadeaway shot.
Yeah, no, it was. And it worked out, but that doesn't always work out. And when you fall back on that, it's a recipe for disaster long term. And that's all we're trying to say there.
And
But
that's my struggle is that we're taking plays right now that are positive and not attributing the low percentage of success rate to them. And something like the Kirk pass is going to catch up with them with time. The first touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins, he was facing fucking backwards. He did a 360, and I don't mean like a spin move. He was like, I don't know which way to run right now. I've lost my bearings on where I am on the field. Oh shoot, this way. And then DeAndre Hopkins is open 7.5 yards of separation in the end zone. Again, not taking anything away from him. That's a hell of a pass to still make after all of that.
Yep.
But
very few guys can make that play.
To not get ass rammed while you're facing backwards is a very rare NFL feat. And all it takes is getting behind the sticks, these negative potential plays to catch up with them. And they won on a missed extra point, essentially.
So we'll show that here. Minnesota gets the ball. I'm going to give a shout out to Kirk Cousins here. I actually think he outplayed Kyler Murray in this game. Kirk was 22 of 32 for 244 yards. He threw 3 touchdowns. He threw no interceptions, and he had 2 rushes for 35 yards. And Kirk puts them in a position to win the game, and this happens.
High snap, put down. Joseph, come on! It is good!
It's good!
Are you kidding me? He missed it right.
He missed it right.
Oh, my heavens.
Oh.
This is the Vikings radio call, by the way.
Missed it right.
What a gut punch to a team. Call that.
That was after missing an extra point earlier in the game as well.
Yeah, which ended up being the difference, right?
Yeah.
But no, to your point, kicking woes continue.
Cousins is 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 595 yards, 48 yards rushing. If you look at his stats versus Murray's stats, they're not that far off. Murray has 3 turnovers, which is separating him from Cousins by 3 turnovers. Like Cousins had them in the game each time, whereas Murray was potentially losing the game. The Rondale Moore 77-yard pass, was that on Murray for buying time, or he was flat-footed when he caught the ball because he was that damn wide open? And it just goes back to the Hail Murray to me, where how that Next Gen Stats is grading that as a 16.9% completion percentage. That must be all on DeAndre Hopkins' fucking hands. That's insane.
Because everything you throw at DeAndre Hopkins has a 30% chance of being caught at least. Yeah.
But I mean, it's again just looking at the differential between success and not, and the margin of error is very low in this. And I think the Cardinals experienced that at the end of last year when they went on that 2-5 game losing skid.
Yeah. Well, and that to me is we're not to diminish what Kyler's doing. He's absolutely, as of this point, in the MVP conversation. And the Cardinals are 2-0, which, they're one of 3 teams in their division that's 2-0. That's great for them. But I feel like we're setting ourselves up here for a similar situation as last year, where the Cardinals fall off at the end of the year, and we're forgetting that a game like this happens, like a for sure loss, like 9
Mhm.
times out of 10, you lose this game. And we're going to be like, well, they were 9-8 and, we were on the cusp. And it's like, okay, well, you had the Hail Murray and you know what I mean? Like those things that went in your favor that you wouldn't bank on necessarily. So I'm not necessarily buying the Cardinals yet, especially within that division, and especially and maybe this is a good transition to the next game, but the Seahawks being 1-1, I don't think the Cardinals are better than the Seahawks today.
But
I'll
the
say that.
Cardinals beat the Titans and the Seahawks didn't. They must be better. Like the transitive property, the
Yeah.
Panthers beat the Saints beat the Packers, the Panthers are the cream of the crop in the NFC. No, what I do want to say out of all of this, because I know we'll get some pushback on this, is that 2-0 is 2-0. Victories are victories.
Yeah.
And that's
Bank
the
'em.
difference between the parlay and betting and against the spread versus where any team is at. You cannot take that victory away from them at this point. And they're 2-0. They're tied for first or third, depending on how you want to look at it, in
Mhm.
the NFC West. It is a real thing. I just think that it ultimately catches up with them.
Yeah, I agree, especially once they start playing division games. It's going to be tough. But yeah, 2-0 is 2-0. It's hard to win in the NFL, and they're 2-0. So, you take that and you move forward.
Yeah.
Uh,
One more thing. I mean, he had a fucking, 35, 40-yard completion that was tipped twice by the defense into
I think 3 times. Yeah.
the tight end's hands, who he wasn't even targeting. So, like,
Yep.
this is where our pushback comes from, is just that we saw it with the Bucks the first week as far as losing the spread. We saw it with the Chiefs this week as far as losing straight up, that turnovers are what change the game.
Mhm.
And by putting yourself at risk for that, this is where the Kyler Murray MVP discussions kind of lose me.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that.